Welcome to Patrick's Book Reviews. Okay, welcome back, everyone. Today I'm here to talk about two things. The second thing I'll talk about, I'll just mention here first, and that is Historathon 2026. I'm not talking specifically about the nonfiction history that I'll be reading for that project, but if you're interested in that, do check out the hashtag I leave, which will be Historathon 2026, and that'll explain all the rules and whatnot of Historathon if you're interested in joining that. And I just made a previous video about that if you're interested in watching that. But today I want to talk about fiction, and a lot of it's historical fiction that's specifically related to my Historathon reads, so it kind of ties in with that. But before I get into that, there's another project that I'm going to join, and that is, let me just get the name right, Read Poland 2026. And that's a project by Lewis at the Literary Buffet. And I became aware of this through Mike at Bibliophile Bookscape. He's also doing the Poland project. But I'll leave a link to Lewis's channel. So check out the Literary Buffet, and you can get all the information about Read Poland 2026, as well as some of the books that he's going to be reading and recommendations from him if you're not sure what to read. But basically the gist of it is you just read books by that were either translated from Polish or written by Polish authors. And I think it's kind of up to you how many you read, really. I think generally maybe one for each quarter of the year, so maybe 4 books. But I think if you just read one book or whatever you can do is okay. And for me, I'm kind of I'm going into it kind of, I don't know, I'm taking an easy route with it because I have a lot of stuff with Historathon and a lot of other fiction that I already want to read. And because I'm because I'm reading so much history already, I didn't want to choose a Polish history books, even though I'm interested in that. My last name is Polish, and so I have Polish ancestry on my father's side. But as an American, I'm just kind of a mix of everything, but I kind of feel closest to that Polish heritage. But I'm also pretty largely ignorant of Poland and its history. But like I said, I'm going to be doing fiction, and so mainly what I'm going to be focusing my reading around is Henryk Sienkiewicz. I think that's how his name's pronounced. Henryk Sienkiewicz's With Fire and Sword. You can see that there. And yeah, I don't have a color Kindle or anything, so I'm sure that's not too exciting, but I'll try to edit in some pictures with that. This is actually historical fiction, so it kind of fits in with the theme of Historathon as well, or ties in nicely with that. And Sienkiewicz was alive from 1846 to 1916. I took some notes on the back of my notebook. So this book takes place in, I think 1648 or somewhere around there, and it's about a Kazakh uprising and Poland's defense against that. And that's really all I know about this. I guess I heard it's kind of a Polish Gone with the Wind, or perhaps a War and Peace, and it's quite long. So it's a trilogy, but the first book of the series, With Fire and Sword, is actually also divided into 3 books. So it's like a trilogy within a trilogy. So book 1 of the first book is called The Uprising. I think it's around 300 pages, and then book 2 is The Battle, which is around 500 pages, and book 3 is The Siege, which is around 400 pages. And again, that would be book 1 of the Eastern Kingdom series. So With Fire and Sword is book 1, book 2 is The Deluge, and book 3 is Fire in the Plains. So there's a truck going by. I don't know if my mic will pick this up or not, but right now it's political season in Thailand, and they have these trucks with loudspeakers that drive by playing music and campaign themed music and whatnot. So one of those is going by right now, if you're wondering what that music is in the background. Anyway, though, I chose this author specifically because I'm just somewhat familiar with his work. I've read one of his books before, which is titled Quo Vadis, and that is about. There's a subtitle to it. I wrote that down too. Yeah, Quo Vadis, a story of Saint Peter in Rome in the reign of Emperor Nero. So that's obviously also historical fiction, focusing around the Christian persecutions in the time of Emperor Nero. And that was really, really good. St. Peter does appear in the book, but he's not like a main character, nor is Nero, but they both do feature prominently in the book, but it's more about just some people, some Christians and some pagans or whatever that lived during that time. So quite a fascinating book. I like that a lot. So I figured I would stick with him. If I get real ambitious, I might try to just knock out the whole trilogy, but all I'm going to commit to is the first book, and that trilogy. So the 3 books of that spread out through the first 3 quarters. And if I'm getting ahead of schedule, then I'll definitely, and if I like it a lot, maybe I'll try to do the whole Eastern Kingdom series. And then the other thing that I'll be reading, so like the quarter 4 one or whatever, would be Stanislaw Lem. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correct at all, but he's a Polish science fiction writer. He's now passed away, I think, in the early 2000s. But he wrote mainly in like the 50s through the 80s. He wrote science fiction coming out of Poland. So I don't know a whole lot about him. His books seem fairly interesting. I'm not exactly sure what book I'll choose. I was just looking on my library to get on my Kindle, and what I had available for free. The most interesting one to me was called the Futurological Congress, but that's part of a tetralogy. That's, I think, book 3 of it, and I don't know how important it is to read the first 2 before it, but my library had kind of a scattered catalog of his works. So I don't know, man, like these Polish ones, they're really hard to buy. Like the Sienkiewicz ones are like ridiculously, like a lot of them are in the hundreds of dollars and whatnot. And same with Lem. But I did see there's like a British company where maybe I could get some of his stuff. So maybe I'll buy his book too, but I don't know. I might just go with the Kindle stuff with that. So that's what I'm doing for the Read Poland 2026. But yeah, everyone check that out. And check out the Literary Buffet. Great channel. And if you're interested in Poland at all, or actually he does a lot of world literature and things like that. So check out Lewis's channel, and also Mike at Bibliophile Bookscape. He's also participating in that project. I'm sure a lot of other people are too. That's just all I know about it. All right. And the second part of this video today, I'm just going to go through the books that I'm doing for, sorry, I'm just turning off my Kindle. The books that I'm doing for the, to read adjacent with the Historathon 2026. And so there's kind of, the beginning of the year is basically going to be from, 500 AD, and then the first period goes, 500, prehistory to 500 AD, and then it goes from 500 AD to 1500. That'll be the first half of the year, and then the second half of the year is from 1500 to the present. So the third quarter is 1500 to 1820, and then 1820 until the present. And so I'll just go over that second half of the year first, because I'm focusing on America for the 250th anniversary or birthday of America, and there's a lot of American works of fiction that I've more recently bought. Some of the other books I've showed on the channel before, but these ones I haven't. So I'm just going to start with that, and I'll go in kind of a loose chronological order. So the first thing I'll be reading for that is James Fenimore Cooper, his Leather Stocking Tales. And so most of these books in the first half are going to be Library of America stuff. I've been getting into them, and I was trying to get a lot of their stuff. This is the only one that came in like the box thing. I didn't actually realize I was getting the box, but I think this is like if you're subscribed to Library of America, you get them like they come like this, and you don't get the black dust jacket that I'll show with most of the other books. So this one's a little different, and it just like slides out of this box, and then you just get the normal naked hardcover. So this volume 1, the books that it contains are so it has the Pioneers and the Last of the Mohicans. I thought there were 3 in the first series. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. But anyway. Okay. Yeah, so it has the Pioneers, the Last of the Mohicans, and A Prairie, A Tale is the last one. So it has 3 books. So it comes in at like 1,318 pages with those 3 novels. So it's fairly lengthy. Now these are in order of publication, not in the narrative order of the story. So I think I'm just going to read it in the narrative order of the story. So I'll be going back and forth between the 2 volumes. Anyway, that's volume 1. The only Cooper I've ever read is Last of the Mohicans, and that was like when I was in my early 20s. I do remember liking it quite a bit, though, so I'm excited to get back into him. I know he's kind of like out of favor right now for whatever reason. I'm not sure why, actually. I think maybe his prose is a little lofty and whatnot, but I don't know. I want to check him out. And the second volume in that has the Pathfinder and the Deer Slayer. So I think that Deer Slayer, the last novel that he wrote in this series, is actually the first in the narrative story. So I'll read that first. And yeah, this is the more classic Library of America. These I all bought. Most of these I got secondhand. This one I like when they come with these. When they got the plastic cover someone put on it. It's annoying to get the stickers off, though. The stickers, for some reason, really stick to this plastic whenever I take it off, so there's always residue on there. And then, next, maybe the man who's responsible for Cooper's reputation or disreputation would probably be Mark Twain, who famously wrote an essay, kind of criticizing Cooper's writing style. And I've not read that essay. I'm familiar with it, but I'm not going to read it because I don't want it to influence me before I read Cooper. I'm also not sure because I know they were kind of at political ends as well. So I don't know if part of it was like Twain didn't agree with Cooper's politics, even though Twain was writing about him. I think after he probably died. I know their lives crossed a little bit, but anyway. Mark Twain, of course, classic for America. And this is the Mississippi writings. So it's just his works that are focused around the Mississippi River, which I've lived part of my life like very close to the Mississippi River. I could ride my bike there. I remember when my son was young, we spent a lot of time just sitting by the river. And even in a big city, somewhat big city like Minneapolis, it's amazing like the amount of wildlife you could see down by the river. It's very wooded, and so you'd kind of go down there and then you'd feel like you're outside of the city. I'd seen like foxes down there. Always saw a lot of bald eagles, beavers, just all kinds of different stuff. So very, very cool. But this has The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Life on the Mississippi, Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, and Pudd'nhead Wilson. So I've read Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, but it's been a while for both of those. Life on the Mississippi, I think I read like half of that, and I never ended up finishing it, but I do remember enjoying it a lot. In my mind, I was kind of remembering it being like nonfiction, but I guess maybe it is fiction. I'm not sure. But anyway, I'm excited to finish reading that. I'll obviously start it again. And Pudd'nhead Wilson, I don't know much about that one, honestly, but excited to read all those. This has a lot of the sticker residue on it, so I'll have to get rid of that. So yeah, we'll follow Cooper with his arch enemy, Mark Twain. And after that, we'll move on to Willa Cather. And this is her kind of, it's her early novels. So this is the novels and stories from 1905 to 1918. And this has 4 works in it. Let me just get to the... Oh yeah, so the first work is the Troll Gardens, which is just a set of her short stories. So it'll start off with short stories, and then it gets into the trilogy she wrote about the Nebraskan plains. So O Pioneers, The Song of the Lark, and My Antonia. So, those are good. And I think this kind of thematically fits very well with the theme I'm kind of going with. And if I just read the top of the back here, it says, "Let your fiction grow out of the land beneath your feet." Willa Cather's remark describes her own powerfully imaginative recreation of the Nebraska frontier of her youth, the vast Great Plains where the earth has only recently come beneath the plow and the sky is huge and open, mirrors the uniquely American ethic of her characters. And so, like all these authors that I'm going to be reading for the American part, you can really feel that kind of the land. They're all very good, I think, nature writers as well. And I know from the one work of Willa Cather's that I've read, Death Comes for the Archbishop, I like that a lot. But her descriptions of the land and of nature, I thought were very, very great. So I look forward to reading more of her. And additionally, another author who's very tied to the land is Wendell Berry. And so I have the first 2 collections of his Port William series. And so the first one's from the Civil War to World War II. And so it has basically the first 4 novels of that collection, as well as short stories. And the cool thing about this one is, unlike the Fenimore Cooper, which was written in publication order, this one's written in the narrative order. So it's not in the publication order. So the short stories are intermixed with the novels. And so it just goes through from the very beginning, Civil War, and then it keeps moving forward. But that's not how he published the stories. So that's pretty cool. He worked with them to do that. And then volume 2 just continues. So it's to the post-war years, through the post-war years, with 2 novels and more short stories. And so Port William is a fictional town in Kentucky where Wendell Berry lived, and he still lives. He's still alive, I think. He's getting quite old, and so they haven't released the 3rd volume yet. And I don't know if he's done writing. I think the last one he wrote was fairly recently, within the last couple of years. So I don't know if they're kind of waiting on that. But the 3rd one has like Jayber Crow in it, which is my favorite of his novels. So I'm kind of excited for that one to come out. But I've read some of his stuff, but I can't honestly remember like which of his novels I've read. So this will be nice just to get them all in the narrative order and read through that. And he's a real interesting guy. He was kind of a back to the land type of guy. He did all his farming without any with very low technology. I think he used like horses to plow and whatnot. And he's also a poet. He's got a lot of works of poetry. He's got books of essays as well. His essays are really fascinating. He's very much in the environmentalist movement. And then of course his fiction. I think I like his fiction probably the best. I think he's a very great writer as well. So I'm excited to read more of him. And then the very last thing that I'll include here is just Walker Piercy. When I talked about my Historathon books, one of the things I'm reading about this year is the Civil War. So I'm reading like Shelby Foote's, this is book 3, but it's a trilogy or a 3-volume narrative history of the Civil War. And Walker Piercy was childhood friends with Shelby Foote. And so I just thought it'd be a fun time to kind of work in some of the Piercy that I've not yet read or finished. So it's just his first novel, The Moviegoer, that he's very well known for. One of his works that I haven't read. And then I also have a nonfiction work. He wrote a lot of essays, but this one is kind of a self-help book that's written in jest, kind of making fun of the self-help industry of the like 1980s is when this came out. So it's very kind of tongue-in-cheek humor. I've read part of it actually. It's quite funny. So I want to read that as well. The only other fiction I was thinking about throwing in. I don't yet have a copy of, but I'd like to work in there. It also has to do with the Civil War. And that's a book by Richard Adams, who I just reviewed his book, Plague Dogs, and he also wrote Watership Down. And so he's very good at the animal point of view, whether it be rabbits or dogs. He's just a master of doing that animal point of view. And he has a lesser known work called Traveler, and it's based in the Civil War, and it's told from the point of view of Robert E. Lee's horse. So you're getting, I guess the horse is relaying tales of his times with Robert E. Lee to a cat in a barn, or something like that. And who knows if that will be any good or not. But I would love to check that out. I think I'd like to get a copy of that. I'm not sure what year it came. I think he might have wrote it in like the 1980s or something like that. But yeah, one of his lesser known works. And with Adams, I really do love the Plague Dogs and Watership Down, but I've read other books of his that don't quite do it as much for me. I think when he gets out of the animal point of view, I don't necessarily like his writing as much, but this one is in an animal point of view. So yeah, I definitely want to check that out as well. But I think, oh, that's not it. Sorry, I was going to say that's it and end the video, but I forgot to do the first part of Historathon. So I'll go through these quickly. I thought this was going to be a short video, and it looks like it's not. That always happens to me for some reason. But so these kind of fit into the first, the prehistory all the way up to 1500, the first two quarters. So the first one is John Milton's Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, and this is dealing with the fall of Adam and Eve. So that obviously goes back to more ancient history, or the era of ancient history. And secondly, so now we're getting kind of into the second period, 500 to 1500, is Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott. So this takes place in the time of the Crusades. So that'll fit nicely into that second time period. And I'm also reading about the Crusades as well, the 3-volume work of Steve Runciman. And after Ivanhoe, we have the Canterbury Tales. So again, this one, and Ivanhoe is historical fiction. So I think it's considered like the first work of historical fiction. I can't remember exactly what year it was written, but sometime I think in the 1800s. And then after that is Chaucer, Geoffrey Chaucer, the Canterbury Tales, which was written at the end of the 14th century. So it fits into that time period, and it's just a pilgrimage where the pilgrims are stopping along the way and telling tales. And all right, and then we have Bernard Cornwell, a series I'm finishing, The Grail Quest. So this is book 3, The Heretic, and this is centering around the 100 Years' War. So it's also fitting in towards the end of that time period. Really loving this series. So it's my first Cornwell that I've read, and I like him a lot. I really want to read a lot more Bernard Cornwell. And then the last book of that series, this one was written like 10 years later after this. So I think after the Heretic. So I think originally it was going to be a trilogy, but this one came along 10 years later. And I think this can also work as a standalone novel, but 1356, so also dealing with the 100 Years' War. Almost done. And then a couple that I guess don't technically quite fit into that. They're a little bit after that period, but they kind of fit in spiritually, I would say, with that period. One would be Don Quixote. So again, this was, I think, written in the 17th century, I want to say. Everyone knows this story, but I'm doing a Don Quixote themed month in April. I believe it'll be April. And so I'm reading a few other books centered around Don Quixote. And just the last book is the Three Musketeers. So again, I know it was written obviously in the 1800s, but I think it even takes place close to that time, but it kind of has the feel of something earlier. So Alexander Dumas, The Three Musketeers. All right, that wraps it up. But either of those events I've talked about, even though this is strictly not Historathon, this is outside of it, but it's related to Historathon. So if you're interested in doing that at all, please check out Historathon 2026. I'll leave the hashtag there. If you hit that hashtag, there's like a ton of Historathon videos. A lot of people are doing that. It's been going on for, I think this is like the 5th year maybe. And then the other one is, I always want to call it the Poland Project, but that's not actually the name. The name of it is Read Poland 2026. I don't know if that's like a hashtag, but I'll just put it as a hashtag. And I'll link to Lewis's channel, The Literary Buffet. So make sure you check that out. Really, whether you're interested in the Poland Project or the Read Poland Project or not, but if you are interested, definitely, I don't know why I'm holding my notebook up, but check that out. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Have a great day. Goodbye.